You see it with every successful founder. I'm telling you, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. We are a 9-figure brand. For every launch, we like to think like, what is the big moment? When we launched Clear Protein Plus, we did a partnership with Surf Lodge in the Hamptons. It's not that you throw money at marketing and that's how you grow. There is a right time to do this. Evaluate what is appropriate for the stage of brand that you're in. People like to connect emotionally to a brand, and how they do that is understanding who is behind it. If you don't want to be on video, no problem. Find a medium that is comfortable for you. Arrae is me as a brand, so who better to speak to it than me? We just went in nationwide into Target. We've taken a stepladder approach with retail. Started with like little boutiques, then we did Erewhon. Recently, we launched nationwide at Sprouts. You and the business are growing together. As the business is growing, it's your job as a founder to match that growth.
Hey business besties, welcome back to Female Founder World. It's Jasmine, I'm the host of the show, and today I'm chatting with Siff Haider, the co-founder of Arrae. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
For people that don't know Arrae, what are you building over there?
Our tagline, and the easiest way to explain it, is we build targeted supplements for life's unsexy problems. So the idea really is to create targeted supplements, which are really beautiful and have you feel really proud to deal with these issues that have historically been quite unsexy and taboo.
Okay, what are some of those products?
So we launched the brand with Bloat and Calm. We went viral for our bloat capsules. I feel like that's kind of the OG product. Outside of that, we have something for constipation. We have MB1, which is for metabolism. We launched Tone earlier this year, which is creatine gummies with body composition benefits as well. And then most recently, we launched MB145 Plus, which is basically MB1, which was our metabolism product, but now it has additional benefits for women who are in perimenopause, menopause, and beyond.
Oh, this is the Pamela Anderson
Yes, correct.
situation. Okay, we're going to talk about that. I saw that come up and I was like, whoa, impressive. That's amazing. So you launched in 2018. That's when the concept kind of came together.
2018 was when we had like the idea.
Yeah.
And then we didn't launch the brand until 2020. So it was 2 years of working on it before it launched. Yeah.
And what were you doing before that?
I was a creator full-time.
Okay.
A creator and podcast. Well, I launched my podcast in 2019. So yeah, creator full-time at that time.
And you launched it with your husband.
Yes.
Did you both go like full-time into this at the beginning?
No, not right away. And I think that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like go all in 100% right from the get-go and
burn the boats.
Yeah. And that, I don't think it needs to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is actually like quite practical. Number one, we didn't raise any money. And so as we were growing and we were growing really fast, we were using our own money to do inventory buys and continue to fund the business basically. So it was helpful to have income for that reason. And number two, we had a goal in mind where we would both go all in on Arrae when we hit that revenue goal. And that goal was $1 million because that's when we knew, okay, like this is proper. And so once we hit that goal, we knew that we were both going to go full time. I went full time on it and stopped taking on brand deals and stuff a little bit before Nish, but we launched the brand officially in March 2020. And then we were both full time by November. So Nish quit his job in November.
You're bootstrapped. So like what kind of funding did it take to get this thing started? Like I feel like launching a consumer product is so expensive. Launching in the category that you guys are in, were you just pulling from your savings?
Yes. So we had basically what we did was we put money from our wedding that we had saved up for our wedding, and that's what we put in to start the business. And it was the best decision for us. We think that, I mean, even now I'm like, this was the best decision we could have made because it strengthened us as a couple and honestly, like excellent return on investment. And we love this, you know, it's not for everyone, but Nish and I live and breathe the business, and we have both been very ambitious people throughout our lives. So this felt like the most meaningful thing to do with our money. And it meant more to us than a wedding, personally.
Can I also just say it's harder to undo a business partnership than it is a marriage?
1000%. Exactly.
So like in terms of commitment, it's right up there with an actual wedding.
Oh, 100%. If not even like, I mean, you're just in it, you know, and there's so much that rides on you. I feel like, you know, if our business partnership goes down, then everything is getting destroyed. So it really does bring two people together rather.
So you said that $1 million was kind of that moment where you thought, okay, we can go all in on this. It is for real. What were some of the things that you did right in the beginning to get that traction to be able to make that $1 million in sales? Because a lot of people listening will be working towards that first million now.
So essentially, our product is an ingestible. And so it's not like a fashion brand, it's not makeup. And so we knew that the most important thing was actually twofold. Number one was the credibility. And number two was how do we position the brand? And so, right from the get go, we wanted to make Arrae a very cool brand because we knew that in order for us to have the differentiation, of course, like I'm not even going to talk about the importance of an excellent product, which we can get into because that's where we've invested the most money is product development. But after having a good product, you have to have a good brand story. So that's where we invested outside of product and like in terms of time. And then the other thing was the credibility piece. So we gifted really heavily to doctors, nutritionists, health practitioners, just essentially experts, because we knew that those people would tell their clients. And that's kind of how it would build. And then outside of that, of course, we like also gifted to a lot of health and wellness influencers. And how the brand really took off at the beginning was Melissa Wood Health. She was one of the first influencers to ever talk about us. And that's kind of what propelled our brand into the mainstream. And we were lucky that she did this, within the first month and a half of us launching. But she like, I owe her so much because I know we would have still been successful because I always believed in our product, but she gave us the start that we so desperately needed.
I love it when I hear from people who think a little bit outside the box around influencer marketing. Like influencers aren't just people with followings online. Those nutritionists, those health experts, they are influential to your customer as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if they don't have followings online.
100%. And I mean, I like to say that nowadays, I think everyone's an influencer, which is why it's so important for brands to also treat their customers like influencers. But our goal was really to treat everyone like an influencer, right? Like our customers, smaller people with followings who we were gifting to, even just like practitioners. Because when you think about your purchasing habits as a consumer, yes, you obviously listen to someone online, but you make a really quick purchasing decision when it's your best friend, your sister,
Yes.
your like health coach who's telling you to buy something. It's like immediate eyes closed, you buy it. So that's kind of the thought process that we had. And so that's how we also wanted to get the word out about the brand.
So you are you're about 5 years in now.
Yeah, we're over 5 years now.
Yeah. And I want to know what are some milestones that you've hit since then to help people understand where the business is at now?
So right now we are a 9-figure brand. What else? What are our other milestones?
9-figure brand.
Yeah. We have, I think, 8 or 9 products now in terms of just how many products we've released. What else? Oh, we just went in nationwide into Target, which is a very, very big milestone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's honestly as of this Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is very, very brand new. What else? Yeah, I feel like those are probably some of the big milestones.
Pretty impressive stuff. And how many people are on your team now?
33 people, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's still fairly lean.
Yeah, that is very lean for like those revenue numbers. That's pretty crazy. Okay, let's talk about stay back in the early days. And I want to talk about funding and fundraising. So you mentioned like you're bootstrapped, but you did take on a little bit of investment a couple of years in. Why did you decide to do that? And then why did you decide not to do it again?
So we decided about a year and a half in that we wanted to raise money. And the reason was that we just wanted to grow a little bit faster. We were profitable. We were profitable from day one. We had to be because it was literally our own money and we didn't have very much of it. And so the reason we wanted to raise was because we wanted to grow a little bit faster. We had really good traction already, and we were like, let's just add some fuel to the fire. And so we raised a small round in mid-2021, basically is when we closed the round. And we decided that we didn't want to raise after that. We wanted to maximize for equity and be basically the owners and the bosses of our own business. And I have to say that our investors are absolutely incredible. I have only good things to say about them. And we were very, very lucky because we were extremely picky and we were just intentional about who we brought on board. But I think Nish and I both, our thing has been is that we want to build a strong, healthy business, and continuously going on this cycle of fundraising. I don't necessarily think that, number one, that's even possible anymore. I think for a long time, and I'm going to say the timeline was like between 2014 to 2021, I think brands were like CPG brands were raising like tech companies, and then this bubble burst. And now when you look at what strategics and investors are really interested in putting money into, it really is businesses with healthy finances, which means profitability, strong retention numbers, things like that, versus just, oh, I'm going to raise at this valuation. And also, why would I want to dilute my equity so much when this is my whole life?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been our philosophy. And of course, everyone's different, but that's just how we chose to do things.
If somebody came to you and they're kind of in the early stages of launching something in this space, what advice would you give them around looking at investors or not?
So I would say don't, unless you really need to, and you have to, this is everyone's decision. Obviously, like if you feel like, okay, a little bit of money will really help me propel the business forward, absolutely go for it. But what I would say is that if you have proof of concept, then when you go in for fundraising, you go in a more powerful position. So you're able to ask for better valuation. You're able to ask for better terms. And also, you're not reeking of desperation. And I feel like if you have despo energy, then people feel that, right? I think if you have a strong foundation that you're standing on yourself, then you go in there and you're coming from a place of power, knowing that this is actually an equitable relationship. You know, an investor getting you as a business is equally beneficial for them because you are the conduit to them making money. And they are hopefully both, you know, a check and guidance beyond that as well. So I think what I would say to founders who are thinking about this is ensure that you have, if you can, of course, a proof of concept before you go in. Like I see CPG brands sometimes being like, I'm going to raise on a concept. Sure, if you have to and you don't have a dollar to your name, I understand that. But if you don't have to do that, then maybe don't. So just have a little bit of proof before you go and do that.
Something else that I want to talk about is all of these product launches that you've had. You actually don't have like a huge amount of SKUs, I feel, for the amount of revenue that you're doing and the amount of years that you've been in business. But I can see, like, I'm just looking at a timeline and the intentionality between like the category and the product launches is really, really clear. So you had a sleep launch in 2022. You had a collaboration in 2023 with the Skinny Confidential. I want to understand how you're deciding when and what to launch when you're thinking about new products.
So our philosophy has always been hero SKUs. So we don't like to launch like 10 products a year, each of them doing, you know, $500,000, because I think what it does is it tells less of a strong story, and then you become a very like commodities brand, and that's not what we set out to build. Our goal was hero products only, things that solve big problems, things that have a large TAM, and also that way we are able to put more into each launch and make it more meaningful. We're able to do more product education. We're able to do more like newness, like new, I mean, things that haven't been done in the past.
Yeah.
And so that was a thing right from the get-go. I mean, we launched the brand in 2020 and we launched the brand with Bloat and Calm, just 2 products. And we didn't launch anything else for 2 years. And that was because we wanted to gain credibility and just be known as a brand for one thing before we started to move on to other things. Our thing now is that we like to complete one category before moving on to onto the next. So for example, we really wanted to do gut health before moving on to another category. Then, you know, we did right now we're doing like metabolism and performance essentially. So under that umbrella is like MB1, there's tone, we did clear protein plus. So we kind of like to go through categories because that way as well, I think it tells a complete story for a consumer.
This is so interesting to me. What is your actual like launch strategy process? You've had quite a few now. You just had a big one with Pamela Anderson at the front of it. compared to what you were doing in the beginning and what you're doing now, what is the process of getting something out into the world and making sure that it sells really well?
There's one part of running a business that ChatGPT or Google just can't solve for me, and that is business finance. It is one of the most gate-kept areas of business, and yet it is what separates running a thriving company from really just having a very expensive hobby. Every founder at every stage of business deserves to feel confident managing your money. And that's why Female Founder World is partnering with Mercury to bring you Cash Camp. It's a free 3-part live workshop series designed to teach women in business the financial skills that we need to scale. Across 3 virtual sessions, you are going to learn how to build a pitch deck that attracts investors, how to understand the different funding options that are available to you to help you grow your business, because it is not just about fundraising and getting investors. And finally, how to forecast cash flow and plan for long-term financial growth and stability. Each session is led by an expert founder or operator from the Female Founder World community, and it'll be delivered in our simple, easy to follow, no fluff format. If you haven't tried Mercury yet, they are the banking platform that every founder seems to be switching to right now. It's simple, intuitive, refreshingly modern, and just nothing like the business finance tools that so many of us business owners are used to. Head to femalefounderworld.com and click on Cash Camp to join the workshop series, or click the link in the show notes. Mercury is a fintech company, not a bank. For important details, check the show notes.
Well, I would say the heart of our business is product development. We have 3 meetings for product development each week. I would say we spend about
Wow.
10 hours a week, and that's just Nish and I going through product dev with our team. We have a very robust product development team. There's about 5 people on our product development team. We do everything in-house. We've always owned our formulations. We go through the data in-house. We go through everything in-house. So I think first and foremost is going through everything with the product dev team and understanding, okay, like what is the opportunity here? I would say my specialty is like trend forecasting. So that's where I sit in and bring my expertise. And, then we have our team going through data as well and looking at all the different indicators of something being potentially strong. Sometimes the data isn't even there yet, because if you are doing something truly innovative, the data is quite limited, and we'll sometimes take bets on things like that and hopefully we succeed. So far, knock on wood, we have. But the launch strategy is that it takes us a long time to actually land on the product. Then it's perfecting the formulation, doing testing, focus groups, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to launching the product itself, we like to do everything very 360. So all the teams are talking to each other, from email to performance marketing to social media to events, all of everything. It's a very well-oiled machine where all the parts are working as one. So that's how I like to explain it. We don't do a lot of product launches in a year. We do 3, maximum 4. And so everyone just talks to each other, and we ensure that there's a very cohesive message across the board when it comes to the brand.
When you talk about your role in those meetings as being a trend forecaster, I find that super interesting. And what you said about data as well. I had Baba from Ceremonia, who on the show ages ago, and I remember her saying sometimes if you're making decisions based on data, you're already behind because it's already happened. And so that's what I thought of when you mentioned that before. And I can see you as this person who can kind of intuitively see the future. And
Yes.
I want to know where that information is coming from. And then obviously you're filtering it through your life experiences. But where are you getting that information?
Honestly, Jasmine, this is, I get asked this question and I don't have a straightforward answer.
It's just
I suppose so. I wish, of course I'm reading and I'm consuming things at a ridiculous, amount, basically. I am listening to every podcast that I can. I am reading articles constantly. I'm following people in the fringe when it comes to health and wellness too, because typically before a trend happens and hits the mainstream, it really is the fringe who starts to talk about it. And sometimes it's things that are quite outlandish. And then 2 years later, it hits everyone, And so you kind of just have to monitor what's going on, and then, okay, who's talking about what? Okay, like which influencers, which doctors, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like it's a lot of that. And then I think also the zeitgeist in general informs trends. So it's not just like who's talking about what and which doctor is saying what. And that's what I'm saying, that there's no true method that I can give to people. I think you just have to understand the zeitgeist as a whole. Okay, like, what is happening in the world that's kind of leading to certain things. So as an example, during COVID, we blew up because we had two products, Bloat and Calm. Why? People were at home, they were panicked and doom scrolling, and they needed something to literally calm them down. And we had this product. That was not something we predicted because obviously we didn't know that the world was shutting down. But that's a really good example that I can give you where it's like the zeitgeist was determining what people were consuming. Similarly, people were also at home, again, because they were stressed, they were eating worse than they had been. Some people, of course, got really into health and wellness and, they were cooking more at home. But other people, it was like a lot of takeout. People were just, they didn't know what was going on. And so Bloat really helped with that. So you kind of have to monitor holistically everything that is going on in the world. I also like to read a lot of books on history, and I think patterns repeat themselves. And so I think in order to be a good trend forecaster, you have to observe patterns, if that makes sense. And again, I know that this sounds so intangible, but I feel like those are the little bits and bobs that help guide me.
I want to know what you think is coming next from like a health, without making you tell me what your product development pipeline looks like, but like what areas, what categories, what trends are you seeing in this health wellness space? And you're literally gonna have to give away a product development pipeline, but try not to.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the biggest thing that I think is coming because we're working in that space right now,
Okay,
but
can't wait to see what that is.
but I think the next, like, if I can identify like a smaller sub trend, I feel like liver health will continue to be a larger conversation because it's really a filtration system for our entire body. So I feel like people will just get more serious about liver health.
Interesting. Okay. Talk me through the Pamela Anderson collaboration partnership. What's going on there and how did that happen?
So when we started to work on MB145 plus, I knew we needed someone big to align with for that because, perimenopause, menopause, these are things that every woman goes through, and yet the resources are sparse and nothing that I feel like I could align myself with. It just looks tired and old. And, every woman is going to go through this or is going through it.
And perimenopause can start in your like early 40s and late 30s.
Yes, exactly. And, these are, I'm going to be approaching that in 6-7 years. There's nothing out there that speaks to me at all, and women deserve better. And so we knew that in order to make this something that people would really resonate with, not only did the branding and everything, messaging have to be really beautiful, but we really wanted to align with someone that felt like a true embodiment of the product. And Pamela Anderson is absolutely beautiful. She is someone who is so comfortable in her own skin. She has kind of evolved with every season of her life and she's embraced it. She is vibrant and energetic and really is the true embodiment of the product. And of course, she's Canadian and we're Canadian. So it felt like she was the right person. We got in touch with her. We got on a call with her. She was really excited about the brand. She tested the product for a few months, loved it. And that's kind of how the partnership came to be. And she's been phenomenal, so easy to work with, and we love her.
When you are launching something with a celebrity like Pamela Anderson, and obviously she's had this like massive revival and resurgence in the last like year or so, how do you make sure, I'm sure it's like a really big investment to work with someone like that. And so I want to understand how you make sure that you are maximizing the impact of that launch. Like what were some of the things that you did to make sure that it was like super successful?
Well, I think every launch needs to have a 360 strategy again. And what we like to do is for every launch, we like to think like, what is the big moment? So of course, every launch will have a stellar email strategy. It'll have a stellar performance marketing strategy, social media, all of that will exist, but every launch has a big moment. So what I mean by that as an example is when we launched Clear Protein Plus, we did a partnership with Surf Lodge in the Hamptons. That was the big moment for that launch. For this launch, that big moment was taking over Prince Street subway station in New York. You get a ton of impressions, and we wanted to make the most of the fact that we had Pamela.
Yeah.
We wanted as many people to get their eyes on that as possible. Now, what I will caution brands is I think that there is a right time to do this. And we are, in the 9-figure category. With out of home, you want to be at a revenue number where people have heard of you. It can't be net new because people won't clock it then. With out of home, I feel like they need to maybe have seen it in their periphery if they don't already know it. And then that kind of solidifies in their mind, that's that brand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Versus if you're in year one and you've done sub-million in revenue, it's not like out of home is going to be the thing that's going to propel your brand in front of millions of people, because they're not going to retain that information. And I say the same thing about events, by the way. And I say this because I've learned from this. When we were, I think year 1.5, so 2021, we did a big event, and while it was great, I think looking back on it, we did not need to invest what we did, because it was like we were trying to wear pants that were too big for us. So I think really evaluate what is appropriate for the stage of brand that you're in. And it's not that you throw money at marketing and that's how you grow. You really do have to create a strong foundation and build your community. And almost what you're spending on marketing should be increasing with the scale of brand.
That's such good insight. Let's talk about Target. Why was now the right time to launch in Target? I'm sure you could have launched in a big retailer earlier if you wanted to. Why now?
So our goal was we really wanted to be intentional about retail because, I think a lot of companies rush into it thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get in and it's going to make my business. Again, It's not going to if you don't already have the traction. If no one knows your brand, you may get in, your inventory will not move, and it's going to be a disaster.
I have heard so many, no one comes on the podcast and talks about their experience with this, but once the mics go off, the stories that I hear about people, it's just can completely destroy business, and you do not get a second chance to launch at Target or Sephora.
So for us, we didn't want to go to Target. We wanted them to come to us. We were like, whatever big retailer we partner with, we know they're going to come to us, and we're just going to make sure we are quietly building the brand, because as a brand gets bigger, retailers want you. It's literally their job to bring on the coolest, most innovative brands that have traction, because that's what keeps their business healthy. And so for us, we now felt like it was the right time because we've climbed up to this. We've taken a stepladder approach with retail. We started with little boutiques, mom and pop shops, and I think what people don't talk about is outside of moving inventory off shelves, you also need to be operationally prepared for the challenges of retail. It is an absolute beast. So we did the mom and pop shops, then we did Arrae, which that's 7 locations. And again, it teaches you a lot because it's a different model. It's you're growing in terms of inventory, et cetera. Then we did specialty like Vitamin Shop and GNC. Recently, just over the summer, we launched nationwide at Sprouts. And so you see, we've taken a very intentional step-by-step approach when it comes to retail, because with each retailer, we're learning and we're making things better for the next place. And we knew that, major retail is major retail, like Target nationwide. That is no joke. Even Sprouts nationwide is no joke. That's a lot of locations. There's a lot of things to work through. Instead of rushing and going into it, we wanted to be smart about it and ensure that we were set up for success. And so that's hopefully where we're going to be.
Are you still in those independent boutiques and stores, or have you moved away? I'm really I am interested in that as a strategy. We have a program called Retail Bootcamp where we have a coach who works in that space, because it is something where I think brands in their first few years, they kind of I feel like a lot of people want to make the leap from I've just launched to I want to go into Sephora, and there are all these steps in between, exactly what you just said. And independent retail can also be this really great space to like build your brand as well. If you're in like the right curated stores, it can help be a real brand building moment.
For sure.
How have you been growing that channel? Do you guys use Fair? Are you doing it all in-house? What are you doing?
So we do everything in-house.
Mm-hmm.
We did use Fair. I don't think we use it anymore, but now it's gotten to the point where it's all inbound, and we started to see this happen, I would say about year 3. We started to get a ton of inbound requests. Now it's like insane.
Yeah, I bet.
But that obviously happens as the brand grows. But to your point, Jasmine, I think independent retailers really do build your brand. And it's not about the amount of inventory you're moving, it's about the story you're telling. So, as an example, for us, we have a partnership with the Dior Spa in Paris at the Plaza Athénée. That has been one of our most strategic partnerships yet, because you're aligning yourself with a brand like Dior. Sure, it's not like, millions of dollars in, revenue coming in from there, but it's great alignment. It tells a good story. And we have plenty of retailers just like that. Another really good example, early days, we partnered with G Beauty, which is an excellent, beautiful beauty retailer in Toronto and Miami. That was an excellent partnership because we got to align with a brand like that we absolutely adore. The owners of G Beauty are real influencers and experts, I would say, when it comes to all things beauty, skincare, just looking and feeling your best. And so I don't think that people should think of retail as just a revenue driver, because at the beginning, especially if you have a strong D2C business, it's going to just inherently do better than retail, because your D2C business is going to be growing like this and your retail business is going to be growing like this until you get into big retail. And that's when it's going to be like that, right? So you really have to think of retail as like brand building and also availability, like ease of availability for your customers. So, even now, all the time, I'll get messages from people being like, "Hey, I'm in XYZ city and I just need Arrae because I'm leaving, or like I'm going into a big meeting and I feel like this way." I'm so happy that we can offer like 6, 7 options in all of these cities where people can go and grab their Arrae. I want people to have that.
I think that's such a good call out. And that's also how I shop as well. Like I often like when I want something, I want to go in and get it now. Or especially if it's like something that's giftable, you're kind of like, oh, I need to get it for tomorrow and I want to go in and get it like immediately.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I want to talk about being a forward-facing founder. So you spoke at Female Founder World Summit, and after your panel, you were just rushed. And you, Iskra, and Baba were rushed. And I think that speaks so strongly to the community that you've built around you, the value that you offer when you show up online, and just the connection that people have with you as a brand founder. First of all, talk me through like your experience of being this really forward-facing person. You obviously have the podcast, you have social, you're a creator before you launched the business. And then also just advice for people who want to take the same path and maybe are feeling less comfortable about showing up.
So, in my experience, I think people like to connect emotionally to a brand, and how they do that is understanding who is behind it. If, as a founder, you are absolutely uncomfortable, I completely understand that. And maybe you have someone else, like maybe it's like a young person on your social team, or like your team who maybe has like a lot of personality. Maybe you showcase that. Or what I would advise as a founder, I think find a medium, like a modality that is comfortable for you. If you don't want to be on video, no problem. Maybe Substack, maybe a podcast, whatever it is, find just something, because I think you can truly tell your brand story in a way that nobody else can. And I think the why behind your brand is so important, especially nowadays. I think people they care. They care about where they're putting their money and who they're supporting. So I think that that's just really, really important. And then the other thing is that I think treating your brand's account almost like as though it were a person's account is really important. I think people, at one point, it was like the very glossy, super curated aesthetic feed, and that's all it said. I think people want a little bit more than that. They just want more personality. Again, they want something that they can connect to. So however you're able to do that, I think is only additive to the brand. So whether that's you, hopefully you as a founder, but if not, someone else who can step into that role, I think is great.
I think that's such a good call out about finding the platform that works for you, because there are so many now. Even if like video is not your thing, Instagram carousels, like a lot of people are really forward facing just on carousels and images and not actually speaking to camera, or like you said, Substack. So many founders doing Substack now. But I do think it's almost just unavoidable at this point, particularly if you're bootstrapping. Like you've got this superpower that the big corporates don't, and it's you. And you're probably embodying your customer, and you can speak to them in a way that these legacy brands can't. And like you just need to figure out a way to get comfortable and tap
Yeah,
into it.
you are the brand.
Yes.
The brand is a reflection of you. Like I can say that, I mean, I feel like Arrae is me as a brand. So who better to speak to it than me? So I'm glad that I get to do that. And I love doing it because I feel like I get to tell the story of Arrae. And I think it's for me as a founder, it's so important to me.
I've been following you and Arrae since like really early days, and I've kind of like watched this development journey that you've been on. I feel like you've really like stepped into the shoes of this leader of a big 9-figure brand. And I want to understand what you have been doing intentionally for that personal development. And, you know, I often think a business can't outgrow the founder. And you've clearly been doing some like work to be able to grow to meet the needs of the business. What does that look like? Or is it literally just been learning on the job and building trust in yourself as you go?
Well, of course, I think most of it is learning on the job. Outside of that, honestly, I love to read biographies. I think it is so fascinating. And I think something that I've realized is that everyone goes through the story arc where, you know, when they're starting their brand, they don't always have the confidence, or they're just starting to learn, you know, and it's literally like you and the business are growing together. And I think in order to continue to be successful, I think you just have to believe. And as the business is growing, it's your job as a founder to match that growth. And you see it with every successful founder. I'm telling you, I just finished reading the biography of Christian Dior, and it was really, really fascinating. If anyone's interested in fashion history, I highly recommend the book. It's called Christian Dior by Maria Franz Pachna, I believe. But his story arc, you know, just like every other founder, where, you know, when he started the House of Dior, he was, I believe, if I'm not wrong, in his in his early 40s, I want to say. And he was this like shy guy, and, you know, he wasn't sure, but he was clearly a creative genius. And as he started to get the proof, he started to grow into the confidence that he needed to continue to lead this larger and larger brand. So I think for me, reading biographies is really helpful because you get to see that everyone goes through this, and you kind of just have to believe, you know?
Yeah, I think what you said about the proof, and then you grow, the confidence grows from that. And it's also, I think, like putting yourself in the situations where you can succeed or fail, and that is giving you the proof to continue on. Whereas if you're not trying and like trying to get to the next level, you'll never have that proof that, yes, I can do it.
Yeah. And I think without that belief in yourself, and also, I mean, if you're building something and people are seeing value in it, why would you not see the value in yourself? You're literally out there building that thing. It wouldn't exist if you weren't there. So give yourself a pat on the back and realize that you are that person who was able to do this. And so if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And I think it's really important for founders to continue to believe in themselves, and always do the work. Like I'm always reading, I'm always asking myself how I can get better, even 1% better, you know? There's always work to be done. And Nish and I are both very like growth mindset people. And so we're just continuing to try and level up any way that we can.
We haven't even mentioned Nish yet, your husband, co-founder, but he's also there leading the team.
He's also there. He's casual, somewhere there.
I want to know what a day looks like, a day in your life looks like now while you're running this business.
Well, I mean, I hate to be that person, but every day is, you know?
Yeah.
On a regular day, because these last couple of weeks have not been regular. Like this week is a little bit crazy because I'm speaking on panels basically every day this week. This is not normal.
Yeah.
But on a regular day, honestly, Jasmine, I get up, I go for a walk, I come home, and I get on, like, journal for a bit, and then I'm on my computer. And I try to do meetings while walking. But I'm basically in front of my computer all day outside of the walks that I take.
Do you work from home or do you go into the office?
My home is my office.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
everyone's remote on the team?
No, people come into our house.
Oh, wow.
So our house is Arrae HQ.
I did not know this.
Yes. So all the content that you see of the Arrae team is our
Wow.
house. So Nish and I made that decision long ago and we chose not to change it because, look, we're married. We don't have kids. Arrae is our child. We're very close to our team and we find that working out of our house just, I think it's why Arrae is what it is. It's just we have such a personable connection with our team. There's just something to working literally out of your own home. And it's if we weren't, I mean, it would be Nish and I's office anyway, because what do we do all day? We work.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to bring our team into it. But our home is our office. On Wednesdays, we have a work in person day for the whole team. We have about a little over 20 people, I think, on our LA team. So everyone comes in on Wednesdays. But even outside of that, people are at our house every day, unless I'm like, do not come, which sometimes happens. But yeah, like I'm basically working all day. And then I work out every day at 5 p.m. And so I leave for the gym at about 4:45, come back home.
What do you do at the gym?
Strength train.
Yep.
So I strength train 3 days a week, and then I do Pilates Pilates I'll do once a week, and then I run once a week. So I go into the gym to run as well. And then Pilates I just do at home. Pilates by Bryony. Amazing if you've not tried it. And so, yeah, that's honestly my day. And then on days that I'm podcasting, I'll go into the studio. I try to batch a few episodes in one go. But honestly, my day-to-day is not very glamorous. It's just sitting down and doing a ton of work.
Do you work at night?
No.
Yeah.
My brain shuts down. I'm a very early morning person. So I work best in the morning, and I just feel like it takes me double the amount of time to get the same thing done in the evening. So after the gym, I typically have a little bit of a second wind. So I'll work for like another hour if I need to. But if I don't, then I don't. But inherently there is some work to be done after dinner. But at that point, I'm fine because I have the endorphins and all this energy still. Yeah. But then I would say after like 7:30ish, I don't like to work because it's just I'm not really accomplishing anything. If anything, I'll check emails and respond to things that are urgent, but I do my work in the morning.
The last thing I want to ask you is for a resource recommendation. You've given us some like great books and great tips, but something that people can, go and check out right now if they want to follow the path that you've followed.
Honestly, Jasmine, I would say I have so many book recommendations because everything that I've learned has been from books.
Do you read or listen to audiobooks?
Both.
Yeah.
So
at the same time? I've also heard this, like some people like literally read the book and listen to the audiobook.
No. Okay. So I do both, but different times. Yeah. So I listen to audiobooks typically while I'm walking. At night, I read fiction. And then on the weekends, I read nonfiction, like books. So it depends basically. But in terms of resources, should I start recommending more books?
I mean, give me more books. That sounds great.
Okay. So one of my favorite books that I feel like really helped Nish and I think of how to scale Arrae is Blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman. He's the founder of LinkedIn. It's a phenomenal book. I mean, he's a tech founder, but there's a lot of concepts in there that we brought into Arrae. Highly recommend everyone gives that a read. If someone is just starting their brand or they're new and they don't have their story nailed down, there's a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, I believe is the author. That one is truly excellent. I feel like everyone needs to read that. Good to Great by Jim Collins, another excellent book, I would say. And then again, as I said, I really like to read biographies because it teaches you how resilient people are. And also I like to explore biographies of people who are in parallel fields, not in CPG as an example. One of my favorite books, which I've actually talked about in the past, is The Cartiers. It's written by Françoise Cartier. She's the great-great-granddaughter of the Cartier family, basically. I love that book because it's shown me what building a legacy brand is really like and how you need to be so resilient. Like that family went through 2 world wars and a multitude of changes throughout the, life cycle of the brand. It's a multi-generational brand. Reading things like that gives me so many ideas and also understand like how people are structuring teams and where they're getting their inspo from. I think that's always really fascinating. And then I guess I'll call out my podcast too, because I have a lot of founders on. I have the Dream Bigger podcast, and that's literally why I started it as well, because I wanted it to serve as a resource.
Amazing. Siff, thank you so much for coming on Female Founder World, and congratulations on everything you've built. This is going to be so inspiring to a lot of people.
Thank you so much for having me.
I just wanted to end the show with a quick shout out to all of our paid Business Besties subscribers. For $12.99 a month, you get access to a weekly live call with mentors who we handpick from this podcast community. These are founders who have been on the show, experts and operators that are helping to build their businesses. And we want to give you access in a small group setting on live calls every single week so that you can get the mentorship and advice that you need to take your business to the next level. In addition to the live calls and the community, you also get access to a big database of workshop recordings, group coaching call recordings, templates, contact lists, and just all of the tools and resources that you need to make this business a success. Head to bestie.femalefounderworld.com or the link in the show notes to sign up now.